From beyond the veil of the Force, infinite paths stretch before us. Choices made and unmade, destinies fulfilled and averted. Today, we explore one such path. What if the Chosen One, in his darkest hour of decision, struck down Darth Sidious instead of joining him? What if Anakin Skywalker, in saving the Republic from the Sith, became something far more dangerous? An emperor who wielded both light and dark. This is that story. The crimson blade hummed through the air, its arc deadly and precise. In the Chancellor's office high above Coruscant's glittering cityscape, 3 lightsabers painted the darkness with violent light. Mace Windu's purple blade locked against the blood-red weapons of Darth Sidious, while the Sith Lord's force lightning crackled and sparked, filling the shattered windows with electric fury. The fate of the galaxy balanced on a knife's edge. And then, Anakin Skywalker arrived. The Chosen One stood in the doorway, his mechanical hand clenched at his side, watching as the 2 masters of the Force engaged in their deadly dance. In the canon timeline we know, Anakin would cut off Windu's hand, sealing his fate as Darth Vader. But what if, in that pivotal moment, Anakin made a different choice? What if the hero with no fear lived up to his name one final time? "He's too dangerous to be left alive," Windu's voice rang out, his blade pressing closer to the cowering form of Palpatine. The Chancellor, no. The Sith Lord looked to Anakin with pleading eyes that had manipulated him for years. "Anakin, I can save Padmé," Sidious whispered, his voice like poisoned honey. "Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi." Time slowed. In that moment, Anakin saw the truth with crystal clarity. Palpatine had orchestrated everything. The war, the deaths of millions, even Anakin's own fears about Padmé. This monster had played him from the beginning. And suddenly, Anakin understood that any power gained from such evil would be poisoned at its source. His blue eyes hardened with resolve. His lightsaber ignited with a familiar snap hiss, and in one fluid motion that would echo through history, he drove it straight through Darth Sidious's chest. The Sith Lord's eyes widened in genuine shock, perhaps the first honest emotion he'd shown in decades. Lightning erupted from his fingertips one final time, wild and uncontrolled, scarring the walls and catching Mace Windu across the face before the ancient evil that was Darth Sidious collapsed into a heap of black robes. Mace Windu staggered, his face burned and smoking, but alive. He looked at Anakin with a mixture of relief and suspicion. You did the right thing, Skywalker." But Anakin wasn't listening. He stared at the corpse of the man who'd promised to save his wife, feeling not triumph, but a cold emptiness. The prophecy was fulfilled. The Sith were destroyed. So why did victory taste like ashes? Word spread through the temple like wildfire. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, had destroyed the Sith Lord who'd orchestrated the entire Clone Wars. Within hours, the Separatist forces began surrendering en masse. General Grievous, already dead by Obi-Wan's hand on Utapau, had been their last military leader. Without Sidious pulling the strings, the Confederacy crumbled like a house of cards. The Senate erupted in celebration. Senators who'd spent 3 years cowering under the shadow of war now hailed Anakin as the greatest hero the Republic had ever known. Bail Organa and Mon Mothma began drafting emergency legislation to restore democratic norms. Padmé Amidala, heavy with child, watched from the shadows as her secret husband was paraded before the cheering masses. But the Jedi Council remained troubled. Master Yoda's ears drooped lower than usual as he meditated in the council chambers. "Killed in anger, the Sith Lord was," he murmured to Obi-Wan. "Dangerous, such emotions are." Obi-Wan defended his former apprentice, as he always did. "Anakin saved the Republic, Master Yoda. He ended the war. Ended one war, perhaps, but began another he may have, within himself." The investigation into Palpatine's network revealed the terrifying scope of Sith infiltration. Hundreds of senators were implicated. Military commanders, intelligence officers, even members of the Jedi's own support staff had been compromised. The Republic's entire structure was rotten to the core. Someone needed to clean house. Someone with the military's trust. Someone the people loved. Someone like Anakin Skywalker. The Senate, desperate and leaderless after Palpatine's death, looked to their hero. Chancellor Amidala had been Palpatine's puppet. Vice Chair Sly Moore had fled. In the power vacuum, Senator Bail Organa himself proposed a resolution. General Skywalker would serve as supreme military executor. with emergency powers to root out Sith loyalists, temporarily, of course. The vote was nearly unanimous. Even Mon Mothma, wary as she was, couldn't deny that Anakin had the clone troopers' absolute loyalty. Without him, the military might fracture. Anakin accepted reluctantly, or so it seemed, but those closest to him noticed changes. His speeches became more forceful. His patience with Senate bureaucracy evaporated. When Mon Mothma suggested scaling back military production, Anakin's response was swift and harsh. "You want to leave us defenseless? After what we've just discovered?" Padmé tried to reach to him, but their conversations increasingly ended in arguments. "This isn't what we fought for, Annie," she pleaded one night in their apartment, her hands cradling her swollen belly. "We fought for peace," Anakin shot back, pacing like a caged Nexu. "And I'm going to deliver it. Real peace. Lasting peace. Not the false peace the Jedi and Senate have given us for 1,000 years." Then came the night that changed everything. The medical droids worked frantically in the sterile white room of the Coruscant Medical Center. Padmé had hidden her pregnancy even from the public, claiming illness to explain her absence from the Senate. Only Anakin and her closest handmaidens knew the truth. Now, as complications arose during labor, that secret was about to die with her. The twins came first, Luke first, then Leia, both healthy and strong. But Padmé grew weaker with each passing moment. "Something's wrong," the medical droid announced in its maddeningly calm voice. "We're losing her." Anakin's world shattered. He reached out with the Force, trying to hold on to Padmé's life force, trying to pour his own strength into her. But she slipped away like water through his fingers. Her last words were barely a whisper. "There is still good in you, Annie. Don't let it die with me." But it did die. Something fundamental broke inside Anakin Skywalker that night. He held his newborn children, feeling their Force presence like two bright stars, while their mother's body grew cold. The rage that built inside him was unlike anything he'd ever felt. Not the hot fury of battle, but a cold, calculating hatred for the system that had failed him. The funeral was private. Official records stated that Senator Amidala had died from a rare virus. The existence of the twins was kept secret. Anakin couldn't bear the thought of the Senate's corruption touching his children. 3 days after Padmé's funeral, Anakin stood before the full Senate. His voice carried across the rotunda with Force-enhanced authority. The Jedi investigation has revealed that this corruption runs deeper than we ever imagined. The old system has failed us. It failed to prevent the war. It failed to detect the Sith. It fails the people every single day. He paused, his eyes scanning the assembled senators. Many shifted uncomfortably under his gaze. "Therefore, by the emergency powers granted to me, I am dissolving this Senate. The Republic is dead, killed by its own weakness and corruption. In its place, I establish the Galactic Empire, not ruled by the Sith, not controlled by the Jedi, but governed by one who understands both the light and the dark, one who will bring order to chaos, one who will ensure that never again will our galaxy be torn apart by the ambitions of a few." The silence was deafening. Then, Bail Organa stood. "You can't do this, Anakin. This is tyranny." Anakin's hand moved slightly. Organa gasped, clutching at his throat. "No, Senator. Tyranny was allowing the Sith to control us for decades. Tyranny was sending millions to die when you debated in comfort. This is salvation." He released Organa, who collapsed, gasping. "The Jedi Order is hereby disbanded. Those who wish to leave peacefully may do so. Those who resist..." He didn't need to finish the threat. The Jedi were scared, leaderless. With Yoda in self-imposed exile after sensing the darkness growing in Anakin, with Mace Windu still recovering from his injuries, and with many knights dead from the war, resistance seemed impossible. The clone troopers, programmed to obey the chain of command, now answered only to Emperor Skywalker. Most Jedi chose exile over certain death. Obi-Wan couldn't believe what he was hearing. He stood in what had once been the Jedi Council chamber, now being converted into something Anakin called the Skywalker Citadel, a center for military force training. "Anakin, please," Obi-Wan pleaded. "This isn't you. This isn't what Padmé would have wanted." "Don't." Anakin's voice was deadly quiet. "Don't speak her name. She's dead because of the Republic's failures. Because the Jedi were too blind to see the threat right in front of them. And so you'll become the very thing you swore to destroy? No, Master. The title dripped with sarcasm. I'm becoming something new, something necessary. The Jedi failed because they feared attachment, feared emotion. The Sith failed because they were consumed by it. I will master both. I will use passion for purpose, attachment for strength. Obi-Wan saw there would be no reasoning with him. That night, he disappeared into the Outer Rim, but not before leaving a message for when the time was right. Yoda too vanished, retreating to Dagobah to meditate on where the Force would lead them next. But not all Jedi fled quietly. Mace Windu, scarred but determined, went underground. In hidden bases and secret meetings, he began gathering those who opposed the new Empire. Bail Organa, despite Anakin's warning, became his primary ally. And from the shadows, a familiar figure emerged, Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's former apprentice, her heart broken by her master's fall, but her resolve unshaken. Meanwhile, in the Skywalker Citadel, two children grew under their father's watchful eye. Luke showed an early affinity for the Force, eager and impulsive like his father had been. But it was Leia who truly concerned Anakin. Even as a child, she questioned everything. Her mother's political instincts somehow inherited despite never knowing her. Why can't people choose their leaders, Father? 7-year-old Leia asked one day, her dark eyes serious beyond her years. Because people make poor choices, Anakin replied, reviewing military dispatches. They choose senators who allowed a Sith Lord to control them. But you're just one person. What if you make a poor choice? Anakin's jaw tightened. I won't. But he was already making them. Each year, his grip tightened. Dissent was crushed. Worlds that resisted faced the full might of the Imperial fleet. The Empire brought order, yes, but at the cost of freedom. The trains ran on time, but they carried prisoners to labor camps. The streets were safe, but only because citizens feared to leave their homes after dark. By the time Luke and Leia reached their teenage years, the cracks in the Empire were showing. The rebellion, now led jointly by Mace Windu and Ahsoka Tano, had grown from a nuisance to a genuine threat. They struck at supply lines, freed political prisoners, and most importantly, spread hope. Leia, now 16, could no longer stomach her father's rule. The final straw came when Anakin ordered the bombardment of a rebel-sympathizing city on Ryloth. Thousands of civilians died. They were innocent! Leia raged, bursting into her father's throne room. They harbor terrorists, Anakin replied coldly. Innocence is a luxury the Empire cannot afford. Mother would be ashamed of you! The temperature in the room plummeted. Anakin rose from his throne, his presence in the Force like a thunderstorm. Your mother was weak. Her weakness killed her. No, Father. Your darkness killed her. And it's killing the galaxy. That night, Leia fled the Citadel with the help of a sympathetic guard. Within days, she appeared on every holofeed in the galaxy, standing beside Mace Windu and publicly denouncing her father's empire. The Emperor's own daughter had become a symbol of the rebellion. Luke was torn apart. His sister, his twin, the other half of his soul was now his enemy. But worse were the doubts she'd planted. His father dismissed them, but Luke began having visions, an old man in desert robes, calling to him through the Force. Following the visions, Luke found Obi-Wan on Tatooine, aged but still strong in the Force. There, he learned the truth his father had hidden, about the Jedi, about balance, about the choice between power and peace. Your father was the best of us once, Obi-Wan said sadly, watching Tatooine's twin suns set. But he confused order with justice, control with care. The dark side isn't just about Sith lightning and Force chokes, Luke. It's about believing that your will matters more than anyone else's. Luke spent months training with Obi-Wan, learning not just lightsaber combat, but philosophy, meditation, the true meaning of balance. All the while, the rebellion grew stronger, and the Empire's responses grew harsher. The end came as it always does in the Skywalker family, with a desperate gambit and impossible odds. Mace Windu, Ahsoka, and Leia led a massive assault on Coruscant itself. The Imperial fleet was caught off guard. Its commanders, too used to fighting, scattered rebel cells to respond to a full invasion. The battle raged in space and on the ground. Star Destroyers exchanged broadside with Mon Calamari cruisers. X-Wings danced between turbo laser fire. On the surface, Rebel troops supported by surviving Jedi fought through the streets toward the Skywalker Citadel. Luke arrived in the midst of the chaos, his X-Wing threading through the battle to land on the Citadel's upper platform. He found his father in the throne room, watching the destruction below with an expression of terrible calm. "She's here," Anakin said without turning. "Your sister. She means to kill me. She means to save the galaxy," Luke replied, igniting his green lightsaber, a new one built during his training. "By destroying everything I've built? By returning us to the chaos of the Republic? By giving people choice again? By trusting them to..." The conversation was cut short as the doors exploded inward. Leia entered, lightsaber blazing blue, with Mace Windu and Ahsoka flanking her. The tension in the room was suffocating. "Stand down, Anakin," Mace commanded, his scarred face grim. "It's over." "No, Master Windu, it's just beginning." The duel that followed was unlike anything in Jedi history. Father against children, master against apprentices, the old generation against the new. Anakin fought with a decade of Imperial authority behind him, his mastery of both light and dark making him nearly unstoppable. But he faced not enemies, but family. Luke fighting with Obi-Wan's patience, Leia with Padmé's determination, Ahsoka with the knowledge of who Anakin used to be. The turning point came when Anakin, pressing his advantage against Mace, left himself open. Luke's blade found its mark, severing Anakin's mechanical hand. As the Emperor fell to his knees, Leia stood over him, her blade at his throat. "Do it," Anakin said, his eyes meeting his daughter's. "It's the only way to win. Kill me and take the throne. Ruled better than I did." But Leia deactivated her lightsaber. "No, that's your way, Father. Mom's way was different." She extended her hand. "There's still good in you. I can feel it. Let it go, Father. Let the Empire go. Choose us. Choose family." For a long moment, Anakin knelt there, the weight of 10 years of Imperial rule crushing down on him. Then, slowly, he took his daughter's hand. The Emperor surrendered his throne not to force, but to love. The restoration of the Republic wasn't immediate or easy. Too much had changed. Too much trust had been broken. But with Leia's political acumen and Luke's growing wisdom, supported by the experienced hands of Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, a new government emerged, one that had learned from both the Old Republic's weakness and the Empire's tyranny. Anakin accepted exile on Naboo, in the very lake country where he'd married Padmé. There, he meditated on his choices, on the man he'd been and the monster he'd become. Luke visited often, bringing news of the new Jedi Order he was building, one that acknowledged detachment without being ruled by it, that embraced emotion while maintaining discipline. "We're calling it the Skywalker Doctrine," Luke said during one visit, watching the sun set over the lake, balanced not through denial or indulgence, but through understanding. Anakin almost smiled. Your mother would have liked that. Leia became Chancellor of the New Republic, her time under her father's rule teaching her both what to do and what never to do. She ruled with compassion, but also with strength, knowing that democracy needed defenders. The Sith were gone, the Empire had fallen, and from its ashes rose something new. Not perfect, but better. The Skywalker legacy had been rewritten not through conquest or control, but through the one power Anakin had forgotten in his grief, the power of choice, and the strength to choose love over fear. The Force was in balance at last, not through prophecy or destiny, but through a family that had been broken apart and chose to come together again. In the end, it wasn't the chosen one who brought balance to the Force, it was his children. If you enjoyed this journey into an alternative Star Wars universe, where destiny takes unexpected turns and balance means something entirely different, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We explore the infinite possibilities hidden within the galaxy far, far away, asking the questions that reshape everything you thought you knew. The Force has many paths. Come discover them with us.